SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast discusses topics which are relevant to the everyday lives of seniors and their caregivers. We are joined by experts who share their knowledge on a variety of issues. SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast offers solutions and resources to create the best quality of life as we age. And now, let's welcome your host, Darlene Mahoney.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast. We want to thank our listeners who have been the key to our success as we enter our third season of Senior and Caregiver Resource Podcasts. Our podcast can be listened to and followed most anywhere you enjoy music or podcasts, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and even Alexa, and many more. And please don't keep our podcast all to yourself. Share with a senior or caregiver who you think will benefit from the support that we provide. I am your host, Darlene Mahoney, and I'm excited to share the news that SeniorLivingGuide.com provides a one-stop shop to finding senior housing, including independent and active seniors, a new home, while providing an excellent resource to assisted living, skilled nursing, memory care, or even home health and caregiving services solutions, and one easy-to-navigate website. So visit SeniorLivingGuide.com today. And I would also like to thank our podcast sponsors, Parish Healthcare and Parish Medical Center. At Parish, they offer the Parish Senior Consultation Center and Parish Senior Solutions, where each patient's evaluation and follow-up care will be personalized to meet the needs of the individual and their families.
At Parish Healthcare, we believe in our community. We believe in keeping our community safe. We believe in the art of healing. We believe in healing patients, healing families, healing communities. We believe in the best and brightest working together for the common good. At Parish Healthcare, our team focuses on you as an individual because every life is a work of art to us. Parish Healthcare, where the art of healing comes to life. Visit parishhealthcare.com/healthaware for a free health risk assessment.
Thank you for joining this podcast. We are here with Terry Brandt. She is the Director of Marketing at Buena Vida Estates, right here in beautiful Brevard County. She's been in the customer service industry for 30 plus years. And after 5 years with 2 different chambers of commerce, Terry found her passion in senior living 5 years ago. She says her joy is helping seniors learn and navigate the choices they have while they can still make those choices themselves. While you are also a client with SeniorLivingGuide.com, you're also a dear friend of mine. So I'm so glad that you were able to join us today.
Thank you for having me. This is really an exciting day for me that I get to talk a little bit about what I do every day.
Absolutely. And you do it so well. I can see the passion that you have for seniors as well. So I'm sure that when you're meeting with them and their families, they're making their decisions that they can see that shine right through as well. Buena Vida Estates is in Brevard. Buena Vida, it's not just an assisted living, and it's not just an independent living, and it's not just memory care. It's not just skilled nursing. It's something that is more unique than that. So describe to me what the type of community it is.
Okay, so Buena Vida Estates is a continuing care retirement community. It has been here for 42 years here in Brevard in the same location. And what I love about it is that it is a nonprofit and it's a standalone. So you won't find 3 other Buena Vidas in other areas. It is just right here. That's a great thing for us and our residents, but it's interesting how often we have people ask from all over the country, do you have one of those here? We want to see it. If you were to come to see Buena Vida, you would realize that it doesn't look like a 42-year-old building. We're constantly in transition as far as remodeling and redesigning because our residents, their money that they're paying stays right here. It's not going to a corporation. It is right here in our building, which is a good thing for them and for us.
It's called a CCRC. That's the acronym for it.
Right.
So what does that stand for, and why is it different from an independent living or an assisted living?
Okay, so it is a continuing care retirement community. which means that it has a continuum of care for our residents. And Buena Vida is a little unique. Not all CCRCs are like us in that we only take residents as independent living people. They must move in as independent, and then we have assisted, we have memory care, and we have skilled nursing for them if or when they need it. So they know that they're going to be taken care of for the rest of their lives.
CCRCs, or cumulative care retirement communities, can be found pretty much anywhere most people live.
We're the only one in Brevard County. There are 77 of them in Florida, 77, maybe 78 now. I wouldn't say they're everywhere. I would tell you that there are specific people looking for only CCRCs. They understand the benefit. There is a contract. So unlike the rental communities, a CCRC has a contract for them that guarantees them that they'll be the next place.
If you're living in a different state, like if you're living in Texas or Indiana or anything like that, they can still look and find that specific type of community, typically, that something is available in their area.
Absolutely. If you Google continuing care retirement community, you will find what you're looking for.
Okay. Some communities that are CCRCs only take seniors that are on the independent stage, and then some will take at any stage. Kind of depends on what they're structured.
Yeah, how they're structured. And it really depends. There are some in Florida here that will direct admit into assisted living or memory care. Buena Vida just does not. We do not have the capacity to do that. We are 100% occupied.
That's definitely good news. When you move into CCRC, you're clearly making a life-changing decision, because that's really going to be your home. You know, working in the industry that we do with SeniorLivingGuide.com, we see sometimes when people are looking for communities, they're in one community and they're making a change to another community. So sometimes people will go from community to community because either they're not happy or rates go up, or they're not offering certain amenities or things like that. So when someone's looking at a CCRC specifically like yours, where you're moving in on the independent side, they're really looking at the whole picture. So they're making a really big decision.
They are. And that's the discussion that we have with them when they come in, because a lot of times we have clients that are coming in and they've not looked at anything yet. So we are just starting the process. They are just beginning their search. One of the things that both my coworker and I talk about all the time is that we are a life lease, if you will. That's basically what a CCRC offers, a life lease, but you're not locked into that. If you do decide to move, there might be, I don't want to call it a penalty, but you may not get all your money back that you put down for that entry fee. But on the other side of that, with a rental community, you have no obligation to them, but they have no obligation to you. So when you sit with these people in a rental community and they say, what happens if mom runs out of money? Mom's going to have to leave. Nobody likes to move, and you really don't like to move when you're 65 and up, especially if you're 85. Once you've moved, you hope that's the last time you have to move. And I think that's what a CCRC offers, is that you do have that guarantee that not only are you going to have a place, but you're never going to be asked to move.
Right. Along with the fact that people almost go into a panic mode when they're assisted that they do like, or they're independent that they do like, don't offer the extension of needs as you age. Like they may not offer that memory care, which may come. I almost feel like a CCRC, there's that comfort of knowing that you're going to be taken care of. You're not going to have to worry about that multiple moving around, trying to find additional care, additional places that are going to fit additional needs. It's kind of like a one-stop where you know that you're going to be taken care of, and you don't have to worry about, and your family doesn't have to worry about finding different places and different communities to fit the needs that you may need as you age.
And I honestly, Darlene, I think that's one of the hardest things when someone comes to us and they're maybe 70 years old and they're in great health, and they're looking at what the options are. They don't think they're going to need memory care. They don't think that they'll ever need skilled nursing. Why do I need that? So when you have someone that's just beginning and they're healthy, it's very difficult for them to even think of a buy-in or an entry fee that's going to underwrite long-term care, because honestly, they're not going to need it. And so why would they do that? And I think that's the hard part that we see when someone is in a rental community, and now that person that went in as a healthy, independent person needs memory care, and they're not the ones that are able to find where they're going to go. Because if that community doesn't have it or doesn't have room, then they are going to have to look, and they're not in any shape to look for that. So someone else is taking that control away from you, right? So that's something that they've lost that control. And that's the biggest thing that seniors don't want to give up, is their control. If they plan ahead, they don't have to.
Exactly.
You know, there are plenty of people that want to stay in their homes that say, I don't want to go into a community as independent. I will wait until I need assisted living. And I think that's one of the big things, the verbiage. When someone calls us and they're like, I'm looking for assisted living, they may not mean assisted living, but that was what we used to call it, right? It was nursing homes and assisted living. When my grandparents needed something, facilities.
They even would call an assisted living a facility, and we try to stay away from that. It is a community.
It's a community.
And it should be.
And so, because it takes that medical sterile feel out of it when you call it a community versus a facility. First of all, it's senior living. It's all inclusive in senior living, life plan, CCRC, rental community, whatever you want to call it. It's senior living now, retirement living. And so when you need assisted, a lot of people say, I'm going to wait until I need that care. And that's fine too. But the costs that are associated with that right now, there could be a time, and I spoke with someone last week, and the crisis in our country right now is that true assisted living, where you go in and you need help with your daily activities, right? Your daily living activities, whether that's showering or medications, whether it's dressing or eating, it has become such an excessive amount that those seniors can't afford to stay there for the rest of their lives. And what's going to happen to them? There is no alternative. And if they are being asked to leave because they don't have the next month's rent, that's what keeps me up at night. We don't have that at Buena Vita, but when you talk to residents that say, I don't need this, I'm going to be just fine, that's the concern, is that maybe not them, but it's happening to people right now.
I get that. And one thing I did want to kind of chat with you about, and, you know, clearly this is specific to Buena Vita, but I work with other CCRCs and they have villas and they have homes that are similar to a home in a neighborhood. They're neighborhoods. You're not always moving into an apartment type setting when you move into the independent side. So you really are just like moving into like a 55 plus neighborhood.
You are. And I think that's a growing, maybe not a need, but what we're seeing that the industry is changing to that. They are becoming like a 55 plus. And some of the CCRCs, I believe, are 55. We are not. We're 65 and up. But what you're seeing is that they want that active lifestyle. They're not ready for that apartment that you talked about and to be in a communal setting, if you will, but a gated community that you're playing pickleball, you're playing bocce, you're swimming, you're doing aqua aerobics, you're walking and maybe bicycling, all those things, but you have the protection of that contract. You know you're going to be taken care of if and when you need it. But until then, you can live as independently as if it is your own home.
Exactly. I think that's also the upside. And you have those happy hours and you're making new friends.
Absolutely.
And travel and do some of those things that you wanted to do when you retired. So I think that that's really great to be able to have those options.
One thing I was going to say about that, Darlene, that you mentioned the new friends and the fun and the happy hours. During COVID, things changed. People really saw how isolated they could be, and they weren't having that benefit of going out and meeting with people and that kind of thing. So I think senior living communities did a wonderful job of keeping people safe, but still providing that community, if you will, of people that were able to still be together safely. After we started opening again, the country, and seeing different things, we saw that people were more interested in talking to us about this. They wanted to know more about what senior living offered because they liked the idea of having a community where they were safe and they could have those activities that we just talked about.
Oh, absolutely. I remember walking, you gave me the tour of Buena Vita about a year and a half ago. And I remember thinking, this is absolutely amazing. I love that pickleball is like such a thing right now. So I know it's very on trend. But to be able to offer activities that certain seniors like, relaxation and happy hours, and it's all on one property, and you don't have to leave if you would prefer not to, but clearly you can. And I think that that's great, so that it does provide the ability to enjoy where you live. In all honesty, even if you're living in an independent and you need, short-term skilled or rehab, I'm assuming that that's an option that's available and you can use that and then still move back into your independent lifestyle.
It's that way if you have the contract and the continuing care. I think that's a little bit different, and that's where it gets, you just need to know all the different communities. And I think that's the hard part when people are starting the search. Senior living is not apples to apples. And so you really need to look at more than just one. When somebody comes here, we say, you need to go compare us to other communities, whether they're here or you're looking at CCRCs around the state or around the country. But you really need to know what the options are. We say a lot that all of them offer great food. They all offer activities. They all offer transportation if you need it. What is it that you like to do? What is it that you're looking for, whether it's that security of long-term care or it's you're in your later stages and you just want someone to feed you and make sure you're okay in the morning. Everybody has a different scenario of what they see for themselves, and that's a good thing. And no community is the same.
Exactly. Why don't we take a quick break and we'll hear from our podcast sponsors, Parish Healthcare, and then we'll talk about knowing the cost, planning, and doing the numbers. And that kind of gets down to the nitty-gritty of it all.
Hey, Mom, how's the retirement home search coming?
Oh my gosh, I'm just so stressed out. I don't even know where to begin.
Well, why are you so stressed? What's the matter?
I don't know where to find anything. I just need everything in like one place and know what all the options are.
Does the idea of searching for senior housing seem overwhelming and you just aren't sure where to even begin? SeniorLivingGuide.com has great news for you. We offer a one-stop solution to take the stress out of your senior housing search. At SeniorLivingGuide.com, both our statewide Florida edition book and website are created to make your senior housing search very easy for you to navigate. We provide details on communities, including retirement, assisted living, skilled nursing, memory care, and home health, allowing you to decide which best fits your needs and then connecting you directly with those communities. Visit us online at SeniorLivingGuide.com.
At Parish Healthcare, we believe every life is poetry in motion, motivated by strength and determination. As your bone, muscle, and joint healthcare partners, we believe in blending the art of healing with the science of medicine to keep your body in motion. We believe in healing patients, healing families, and healing communities. For a free orthopedic health assessment, visit parishhealthcare.com/orthoaware. Parish Healthcare, where the art of healing comes to life.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us again on the second half of this podcast. And again, we want to thank our podcast sponsors, Parish Healthcare and Parish Medical Center and the Parish Consultation Center. We're going to talk numbers. So kind of knowing the cost and doing the numbers when planning and considering a CCRC option.
Sure. I think when we're sitting with people, I think it's kind of eye-opening, especially if they haven't looked at senior living. When you're looking at what the costs are in the marketplace, they can be very overwhelming. For example, in the average, and this is just Brevard County, so I know places like Dade County and Collier County and even some of the Duval, maybe the prices are much higher. But here in Brevard, you're looking at an average of about $5,000 for assisted living. That is when you need care. About $7,000 and up for memory care. and that's usually a secured community. Usually you want a private apartment, but that's about what it's running right now. And then skilled nursing, when you really need a lot of care, is about $11,000 a month, and that's per person. So when you're looking at that, that's basically the apartment costs plus level of care. So when you have level of care, that could be low, or it could be up to $2,800 additionally a month. So you really need to know those numbers. When you're looking at a continuing care, what I will tell you is that it is a fixed number. We're not going to offer you a deal next month. We know that every resident that is living in a one-bedroom independent apartment is paying the same thing here. There's not a deal that one got last month or moving in 6 months and they're going to have a deal. It's very specific to the size of the apartment. And what you're looking at in a CCRC, a continuing care retirement community, is usually the entry fee is based on the size of the apartment. So small apartment, small entry, lower rent. A lot of people, when they haven't looked at senior living communities, will say, well, a CCRC, you have to be rich to live in a CCRC. You have to have millions of dollars and they take all your money. That is not true. We would not be in business if that's how it was. I think what you need to look at is each community differently, but the way Buena Vita is based and the way that I have seen most CCRCs in the area, meaning Orlando, Tampa, these communities base it on the size of the apartment. So our studio apartment right now is $114,000. That's what you pay. And that is a medical deduction because that is underwriting long-term care.
Oh, wow.
Some people have long-term care. If you have a long-term care policy, they say, do you take that? Absolutely, we do, because we don't take it. You get paid that on a monthly basis, and then you pay your monthly rent. So when you come to a CCRC, you pay an entry fee that does underwrite long-term care. Then your monthly on that studio apartment is $2,000. That includes everything except your telephone. When you're comparing where you live now to a senior living community, you're going to note that your utilities will be included. Your maintenance is included. Some meals may be included, and housekeeping is included, all your activities. So it's not really a $2,000 payment that I don't have a mortgage now in my home, so now all of a sudden I'm paying this. What you need to realize is that, okay, what do your taxes cost when you break it down a month? What are you paying for utilities? What does it cost when somebody has to come fix something in your home? All those numbers add up. So you're comparing those numbers with what you can afford and what size apartment that you may want. So when we talk to people, we don't tell them they need a cottage if they don't have a big amount of money. What we do is we look or ask what your assets are, and then we help steer you in the direction that you're going to be very comfortable knowing that you can afford to be here, and that with that, you know what the costs are going to be when you do need assisted memory and skilled nursing and a continuing care, because it's all right there. What we tell people is you're either going to pay on the front end in senior living or you're going to pay on the back side. You know when you pay on the front end what those costs are going to be. All of a sudden you have a disability now and you need care and you need those higher levels of care. The costs can be astronomical.
Absolutely.
So just opening your eyes to that, and again, sitting with somebody and saying, what are the costs to this example versus this example, is really a good start.
Yeah, I think it's really important, when you've talked to people, that they're not going to look into it until they need assisted. And while I completely understand that, and I've had conversations with people about that, where they really didn't want to look into it until they were in a more desperate place per se, because they just really wanted to avoid the conversation or they really wanted to avoid talking about it. And I know that even if you're in like the best shape, but as you're aging, so that you are in the position to make the best decisions for you and other people aren't making them for you, to do your research, to look at the money, to look at what things cost, to look at your priorities, to make those decisions for yourself on the upfront is so important. On the CCRC CCRC side, when you look at the cost of it with the buy-in, if looking at the location and everything that they offer, it takes so much off the stress side. Nobody wants to think that they're going to have memory issues. No one wants to think that they may take a fall that puts them in any kind of rehab position. No one wants to think that that's going to happen. But unfortunately, as we age, those things are definite possibilities. And really looking at making sure that those are seamless in care is really, I think, very important.
And I think what we see when we're talking to people is a lot of people, either they have children and they don't want their children to take care of them. They've taken care of parents and they said, I did it. I just don't want my children to have to do that. Or they don't have children. And who's going to take care of them? So they're planning ahead. They're planning for their future. It's interesting. I had a couple in here last week and she said, well, I'm a nurse. We're starting to look and this is what we want to do. And she said, I have a daughter that I took care of my mother is what she said. And she said, my daughter is so willing to take care of me. And she said, and then my daughter-in-law is a nurse. And so I know she'd be better at taking care of me. So they went home and they talked about it and they called me the next day and they said, we are so ready to do this. We talked to our children. And her daughter-in-law, who was the nurse, said, thank you, Mom, for planning ahead and having what needs to be done ready so that we can still be your children and not your caregivers. And it was eye-opening.
And the reality is they can still be that caregiver that isn't doing the dailies. They can still be the one that comes over and spends time. They can come over and read to them. They can come over and take them out if they're able to go out and have lunch and do those types of things.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
But they're not worried about their meals and what their nutrition is and bathing them and doing all the things that nobody wants to do for a parent. We just want to love on them and see them.
And when you are doing the caretaking, you're really stressed out. Sometimes of being someone that when I took care of my dad, I felt like the quality of time I had with him, I was so stressed out. I didn't get the quality of time. And he was in an assisted living and then he was in skilled for some time, but I was so on top of everything that the quality of time, I would have liked to have gotten more quality time back. And if I was taking care of him full time, there would have been no way. There would have been absolutely no way.
Right. And you have a family. You know, your family was suffering because you weren't there with them when you were taking care of dad or whatever. I mean, there's just so many scenarios. Nobody needs to have any guilt. Everybody decides how to do it their way, but there are options for sure.
Right. And enjoying that time with your family is so important. And with your loved one, when you go to visit them, enjoy that time. Just being able to sit and joke around with him. And he would talk about me to all the other residents. So they would come up and all of a sudden I was in. So it would be, awkward. Those were like fun little snippets of memories that I have with him. Any stress that you can relieve off of family, I think is really important. So,
yeah, I think of so many of the people that we talk to have been in their homes for 40 or 50 years. And, it's overwhelming to think about moving, but maybe that's part of a family thing that while you're still living, you could do that with your family and downsizing, start getting rid of those things. Because as a daughter, watching my parents, knowing that I'm the one that's going to go in there and clean their homes out and distribute everything. And we have spent some time doing it together because of what I've learned through this position and just talking to seniors. Our children don't want anything that we have. And that's just the reality. You might be saving it for something for a child or a granddaughter, and I can tell you they don't want it. That's a stressful point too, to just be downsizing and thinking about, okay, maybe you're not ready to go into a community, but how can you help your families just get ready for the reality that you're not going to need all these things. They don't want these things. And at some point, you're not going to be there anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've done podcasts on downsizing. And I will tell you, one of the things that a great takeaway that I had is you can take pictures of the homes and everything and do a scrapbook and get rid of stuff.
I love that idea. Yes.
Do the scrapbook and still have those memories of that. I thought that was really cool. But anyway, so that's my little takeaway from the downsizing.
I think one of the main things that I would tell your listeners is that if you are at least considering it, just go take a look at some places. You don't have to make decisions. And I can tell you from our standpoint, we're not going to call you and bug you. Some of the placement agencies are a great way to go. They will take you to the places that they are sponsored by. So they're not going to take you to everywhere. Buena Vida does not contract with the placement agencies. And I'll just say that I have friends that do that. They do a wonderful job. And that might be the first place to start if you have no idea where to go look. They have such great information. They're a wealth of knowledge about these communities. Those may not be all that there are when you go see them, but use those resources and do your homework. Go on the websites. These websites are wonderful resources to see the apartments. I know on our website, you can walk through every apartment that we have. You can walk through our cottages and see our campus. And so you have an idea of, oh, I like that, or, oh, I don't like that one. I don't need to go see that. So these are some ideas just to start, and then take a look at a few of them because they are all different.
Yeah, that's a really great point. The virtual tours that are on websites now, I've looked at a couple of them. The technology to be able to literally feel like you're walking through the space is pretty incredible.
Yeah, when we were building our cottages, we did a virtual and they put furniture in it, and it was just really fun because you thought it was real. And then when we got the real one up, they're like, oh, they look different than the virtual, but they were so cool. And it's a technology that really grew during COVID. When you couldn't go to places, you could see everything you needed to see on the websites of these communities.
Yes, absolutely. I think so much virtual grew during COVID. I think that it slowed down as we're on the downside of COVID. So you're not just getting the floor plan, you're actually able to walk through the spaces. So, but I love to know the options. I think looking and shopping for senior housing, I don't think you should make a decision snippety snap on the spot, but I do think that CCRC is an incredible option. And I don't think people think about it very often. I think they think there's independent, 55 plus, assisted living. I don't think that they really know about it. So I'm so glad we were able to do this podcast to get the word out that CCRCs are a very, very viable, affordable option and should definitely be considered when folks are out there considering senior housing and senior living. You should start putting it in the top of your to-do list when you just want to start retiring, enjoying your life, and not have to worry about paying all those little financial bills and doing, housekeeping and mowing the yard and, all the stuff that just drags you down on a daily, where you can maybe just start traveling and enjoying your life, I feel like.
I think it's really eye-opening when we have families that come in. We have the parents or the mom or the dad, and then the children come in. Now, the children are my age. And so we're trying to find somewhere for mom and dad. But what they take away is, oh my goodness, I need to be planning. I need to start saving so that I'm prepared for what's coming for me. Mom and dad are here and this is what they have. But for all of us that are in our 60s and thinking about, okay, mom and dad are taken care of now, what's going to happen to us? I think it's just very eye-opening and very insightful to say, okay, we're going to take a look at what we're not ready right now, but what may be an option for us down the road. And what's it going to cost? What do we need? The light bulb goes off.
Exactly. Oh, I think that's great. And I think that more and more younger people for sure need to start considering. I know none of us would admit we're going to age and we're going to need it at some point, but the reality is everyone will.
And they are filling up because everybody's catching the bug and they all want this fun cruise on land lifestyle that everything's provided for them. So it's very interesting to see the shift.
All right. Well, this was an amazing podcast. I thank you so much, Terry, for joining me today. Everything that you shared with our listeners, I hopefully they take it to heart and take some of your tips.
Thanks, Darlene. So appreciate the time. See you soon.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for joining us on this podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can find several more on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Alexa, and many more anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. Thank you.